Stand up, New York Giant fans. Pretty good performance tonight, huh? It's preseason. Let's not go crazy. Relax. I keep telling myself, Chris, relax. Give yourself a massage. Relax. Chill out. It's preseason. Calm down. Calm down. But I'm excited. I've been doing YouTube now for this going on my sixth season, I think, for the Giants, and that's the best I've ever seen the New York Giants first team offense look in a preseason game since I've been doing this. Not even close. A flawless first drive against the first team defense for the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, that's pretty encouraging. First team offensive line looked great. Daniel Jones looked incredible. I mean, he was 8 of 9 with 1 drop, had 6 yards rushing on the drive. Darren Waller had, I mean, my God, he had 6 yards of separation every time he went out for a pass, except for the one that he dropped that was tight coverage. Jalen Hyatt had the nice double move on the touchdown. Kayvon Thibodeau with the sack, pressure right after that. Dexter Lawrence had a couple of stupid penalties, but was getting tons of pressure when they were only sending 3 up the middle when he was double teamed. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited after that performance as a New York Giant fan. That was without Saquon Barkley on the field. That was with a vanilla playbook. Yeah, Daniel Jones looks like exactly how I expect him to be this year, which is going to be really good. The offense I expect to be much better. And yeah, great performance tonight by the team that matters, the first team on both sides of the ball. The defense was sloppy in terms of penalties there, I think on the second drive, whatever it was. But yeah, because they had a 3 and out on the first. But regardless, really pumped up. Are there things that you could look at and be worried about? Sure. I know Evan Neal surrendered a sack right before the half where they kind of got confused on a stunt. Was the coverage great at times? Not necessarily, but overall, you got to be happy. You got to be very happy if you're a New York Giants fan, I think, tonight after the performance that the New York Giants put forth. But what's going on, everybody? What's going on, Rafael Duna? What's going on there, Jay Fed? What's going on there, Joe Black? Word in the chat. Jacob in the chat. Trini in the chat. Joey Lutz in the chat. Amazing guy in the chat. He says, hi, baby. Joey Lutz is standing up. Good to see you, Joe. How you doing, man? What's going on, BX Universal? What's going on there, Sports Info? Yeah, I thought Neal looked really good. Really good. Neal looked really good. JMS looked really good. The push on that one play, I was getting jacked up on the Eric Gray touchdown. They had a 6-yard push on that play. They had a 6-yard push on that play, led by JMS up the middle. So yeah, I agree. JMS continues to look good as well. Evan Neal was the guy that I was really worried, not worried, but the guy that I think was most important to look at in this game. In terms of an individual player and overall, yeah, he did a good job. The first team offensive line did a really good job. So really good night if you're a Giants fan. It's preseason, but it's still exciting nevertheless to get our first win and look the way that we did. And Big Daddy, JMS reminds me of Bardo. He'll be better. Yeah, I think you were the one that said it. Bad Dog Bardo, I guess you were the one that said it, and you've been watching the Giants forever. And we'll get to Jordan Riley as well. I mentioned him several times throughout the stream with Bad Dog. I mentioned him several times on Twitter during the game. I hope he's Bart Oates because Bart Oates is one of the best offensive linemen this team has ever had. So I hope you're right, Big Daddy. Jordan Riley looks like a steal. He just does. I don't know how much playing time he's going to get this year because obviously we're pretty deep there. You know, Nacho didn't play tonight. I don't think he did anyway. And A'Shawn Robinson's, of course, still a bit dinged up, but you want as much depth as you could get at that position. You know, Robinson's a guy that's had injuries in the past. Leonard Williams, of course, had injuries last year. Jordan Riley definitely looks like he could play. I'm not saying he's going to start, but to get a guy in the 7th round that looks like he could contribute and provide his valuable depth in his rookie year and maybe, inevitably eventually become at least a nice rotational piece or even potentially a starter on the interior defensive line, that's great. And yeah, I mean, it's preseason, but he was getting glowing reviews in training camp and he's looked really good in the first 2 preseason games. He really stood out to me in the first preseason game, and tonight it was times that by 5. He was heavily involved on several plays. So he was, out of the rookies, he was the guy that stood out the most. Of course, Hyatt caught the touchdown. That was great. But yeah, Jordan Riley deserves a ton of praise for tonight's performance. He was great tonight. Bobby Okereke as well definitely deserves some notoriety as well. And we're not used to that as Giants fans, having a linebacker who has a nose for the ball. He was definitely in on a lot of plays too. Great to see that. So all encouraging things. What does it mean for Dallas? Not much, right? We'll see how they look in the regular season. and you know that it's going to be a completely different ball game going up against a team like Dallas. They're more talented than Carolina. You're not going to get vanilla playbooks on both sides of the ball. You were going up against a rookie quarterback tonight in Bryce Young, but still got to be happy if you're a Giants fan tonight with the performance. Hawkins has looked good for sure. And Big Daddy, man, thank you very much, man. What's up, Dust Thunder, man? Thanks for popping in. He says Riley is a full-grown man with athletic abilities. Yeah, we should not have gotten him in the 7th round. Not the way he looks. He should not have gotten him in the 7th round. And you could say the same thing for Trey Hawkins, right? With the going reviews that he's gotten in training camp, how he's looked thus far in the preseason. So yeah, our late draft picks right now look like steals. It's early. They haven't played a regular season game yet, but definitely encouraging things thus far in the offseason for the rookie class, for sure. Did Hyatt get injured? No. The first team just didn't play a whole lot after. Well, he was kind of subbed in and out with the first team. He had one play on the first drive where they had a forward pitch to him. But no, they rested the starters and the guys that are going to be, important pieces to this team after the first half. Hyatt played up until right around halftime, and then they had him sit. Why would you play him after that? The game was in hand. You had DeVito at quarterback at that point. What kind of evaluation are you really going to get? So you might as well make sure that he stays healthy. Darnay Holmes stinks. Darnay Holmes stinks. I would cut him. I just would. I would cut him. I mean, the guy's getting beat by third-string wide receivers. You save almost $3 million if you cut him. I would cut him. I would. I think we have young, up-and-coming players in our secondary that I'd rather see get opportunities than give it to Darnay Holmes. But if they keep him, they keep him. We definitely could use some depth in the secondary, but I hope he's not the starter at the beginning of the year. I'll tell you that. King Trizzy says Danny Dickums went crazy in the first round. Dude, 8 of 9. And it's not even the stats, stats. 8 of 9 for 69 yards, 6 yards rushing. And the only incompletion was a drop ball by Waller. Well, I don't know if it was a pass breakup or not. I didn't get to see a lot of replays because I'm calling the game. But regardless, that was his only incompletion. It was just the way that he looked, right? Everything was so quick, decisive, hitting his first boom, 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 getting it out quick, right? And not just him, obviously the playmakers. You could see the difference that they're going to have in this offense this year. We didn't have anybody approaching Darren Waller last year in this offense. You see the separation this guy's getting against the first-team defense of Carolina, and that's without Saquon Barkley in the lineup. A guy that is going to, create a distraction for a defense that should only help Waller even more. Like the way that they use Bellinger on the goal line as well. I think he's going to be heavily involved when we get inside the 5-yard line this year in 2 tight end sets, especially when you got to focus all your attention on guys like Hodgins and Waller and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm thrilled with the way that the first team offense looked tonight. Thrilled. I said it during the stream. I haven't really talked much about Corbin in the first preseason game. Of course, we picked him up last year as an undrafted free agent out of Florida State. And yeah, not only do I think he's got a shot to make this team, I think he's going to make this team. I would be surprised at this point if he doesn't. To me, he looks like right now, he looks like our second best running back. I mean, the guy's running hard. He's a good pass catcher out of the backfield. I don't expect him to be the RB2, but I think he's going to make the team. I do. I think Brightwell probably gets cut. I'm leaning Corbin's going to make this team. He looked really good. There were a couple of plays tonight where he only got a yard or two, but they were really good runs where he was stuffed in the backfield for a loss of 3 or 4, fighting for every inch. Looks like he has good hands out in open space. So, yeah, I'm a fan of Corbin. I hope Corbin makes this team. I definitely think he could be a nice, nice depth piece in that backfield. So, hopefully he makes the team. If he doesn't, I think somebody's going to claim him. So, I hope he makes the team. What's going on in Afghanistan? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. We need to talk about, we just did, but we'll talk about Riley all night. That's a steal. That's a steal, that pick. That pick's a friggin' steal. Big Daddy says, Tibbs has the eyes of Mike Tyson. He's going to wreck games. The only way to block him was to triple team him. Dude, Tibbs is going to be great. A lot of people were asking last night, like, what's your thoughts on what Wink Martindale had to say? And I get it during the offseason. There's not a whole lot to talk about. And I know Wink kind of moderately criticized him to the media. That to me is a good thing. That to me is saying that they have confidence in Kayvon. They're like, yeah, he could take this. We're going to use this as motivation for him. And the way that Kayvon responded in terms of how he did it with the media was great. And today he looked great. I mean, he had the sack. He had a pressure right after that. And on what, only like 2 or 3 drives that he played in. So Kayvon's going to be really good this year. I mean, I think most Giant fans feel that way, but he looked really good today for sure. Let's see. Yeah, Riley's awesome. Jordan Riley's a steal, dude. He's a freaking steal. Such, what's going on, man? Chris B says first team offense looked pretty good. Pretty good. First team offense looked incredible. But it's going to be different going up. I agree with that. Going up against, which I kind of alluded to earlier, going up against the Dallas D compared to the Panthers won't look. Of course, listen, it's apples and oranges, and you can't expect the Giants' offense to look flawless against one of the better defenses in the league. Dallas has one of the best pass rushers in the league. Between Micah Parsons, Tank Lawrence, they've got really good corners as well. That's going to be a test, and that's going to be a grinded-out football game. I don't expect the Giants to go out there and air the ball out 40 or 45 times against the Dallas Cowboys. I think they're going to come out with a smart approach. They'll take some shots when the opportunities present themselves. But, yeah, I think you'll see a lot of 12 personnel, a lot of max protection, and they'll try to attack the middle of the field because I think their strength in terms of coverage is on the exterior. Their linebackers, maybe a little bit of a liability in coverage. You're going to try to feature Waller, maybe try to feature a guy like Sterling Shepard or Cole Beasley or Paris Campbell. I think you try to attack the middle of the field against Dallas, try to set up that ground game. You're probably going to try to utilize Daniel Jones's legs more so in that game than maybe some of the other games this year, along with, of course, Saquon Barkley. But yeah, Brian Dable's smart enough to realize you're going to come out with a different offensive strategy based off your opponent. And it's not going to be in the Giants' best interest to go out there and sling the rock around 40 or 45 times against the Cowboys. If they're able to do that and win, incredible. But, it's a tall task going up against those pass rushers. So I expect them to come out with a lot of, like I said, 12 personnel, max protection for Daniel Jones, try to get that ground game going so you could hit on some big shots, maybe to Jalen Hyatt at one point, Darius Slayton, whatever it may be. But it'll definitely be a different offensive game plan than what we saw tonight for sure. Bill, man, thank you so much, man. Bill's the man. Thank you so much for popping in. First time I felt good about the O-line in a decade. Kind of felt that way, didn't it? It kind of felt that way, didn't it? The O-line looked really good. It did. Long way to go before I get excited because we're going to go, like Chris said, we're going to go up against much better defenses, much better pass rushes. And there's going to be games where we're pissed, but really encouraging. And I think going into the game, you can't, at least when I go into a preseason game, I feel like you can't get too much of a read on the quarterback. And Jones looked great, but it's kind of a vanilla playbook. The offensive line, I feel like you get at least a decent read, right, in terms of the way that they're able to block against the first-team defense. And, yeah, I thought the unit looked much better than I thought they would, for sure. They look really good. Jones had plenty of time. As a matter of fact, the best play, and I said it during the live stream, the play that excited me the most on that first drive, because, like I said, I was honing in on the offensive line, was actually the incompletion of Darren Waller. The one play that didn't go for positive yards, because if you go back and watch that play, Daniel Jones had like 6 seconds to throw the ball. It was a play action. Jones stepped back. He had all day to throw that ball. It was just really good coverage, but the offensive line did a really good job holding up on that play. And just that entire drive, the offensive line looked really good, for sure. The run blocking maybe, left a little bit to be desired, but the Giants didn't really run the ball at all on their first drive with the first team offense when they were out there. At that point, Andrew Thomas came out. So on and so forth. So I think they only left 2 starters in after the first drive on the offensive line. But that first drive, they looked really good. Definitely really encouraging for sure. I'm pumped up, man. I'm really pumped up about the way the team looked tonight. But again, I don't want to go too over the top because it's preseason, but I'm excited. It's definitely as good as I feel like I could have felt after a preseason game tonight is how I feel tonight. Like, what more could they have done in terms of the guys that matter, the first team, right? Excited. We'll see how they look at game 3. I like that Dable pulled Jones right away. You're not going to do better than that. End on a positive note, right? I mean, perfect drive, 8 of 9. Go in, rest your quarterback. You don't want to risk any kind of injuries. That's the other thing you always got to talk about at the end of a preseason game. Most important thing when you go into a preseason game, stay healthy. No key injuries here for the Giants, so that's great. A lot of people kind of picking on Cordell Flott. I guess he's kind of a negative in a lot of Giants fans' eyes during the live stream. It's hard to really judge, an individual player that plays in the slot. He got beat a couple of times, I felt. I didn't think he got cooked, but he did have one really bad missed tackle. I will say that on a run off the edge when he was one-on-one. So, if you want to look at some players that may be disappointed, maybe you can point to Cordell Flott tonight from an individual standpoint. Because we got to look at the slot, right? That's something we got to worry about. We talked about how much Darnay Holmes stinks. You want Cordell Flott to really take that opportunity. He hasn't done it thus far, whether it be in training camp or the preseason games. So that's one thing, you could look at, I guess, that, you'd like to see improve in the third preseason game. But overall, really good night, really encouraging stuff. Yeah, the Hyatt TD was great, man. And the fact that Saquon wasn't even out there, yeah, dude, it looked great. It looked fantastic, that first drive. Might have something with Baldonado. I will see about Baldonado. I know Giant, we'll see. I'm leaning he's probably not going to make the team, but maybe they try to, sneak him onto the practice squad. Timon Fox is making this team. Timon Fox, another guy that deserves some, notoriety. He had a sack, I think, tonight too. And I think he had a sack in the first game. If not, he had a couple of really good pressures. So he's a guy that I think is going to make this team. We'll see with Zimenez. I know Zimenez is always a guy that Giants fans kind of want to, get rid of him. He was able to sneak on the team last year. And he actually played pretty well at the beginning of the year when he was thrusted into starting action. And then, it wasn't very good after that. And, of course, he's been a disappointing player since he's been here. We'll see. We'll see who gets the back-end jobs. They still could add a depth piece off the edge, when teams cut down to the final 53. So it'll be interesting to see how the Giants fill out their roster at that position. Thoughts on Neal? Neal was the guy that I had my eyes on the most from an individual standpoint going into this game. And, yeah, he played really well. He gave up the one sack before halftime, but whatever. You're playing next to a guy you're not going to play next to. I don't think so. I can't remember who the guard was on that play, but I don't think he was playing next to a starting guard. They got confused on a stunt. But Neal definitely didn't look like he was out of place tonight. He definitely didn't look like he was getting destroyed off the edge every play. Let's put it that way. That was a bad play, but it wasn't really a play where Neal got beat one-on-one. It was more of a play where it's hard to, it looked like he was at fault. It looked like he didn't pick up the guy, off the stunt. But it's hard to tell who was more at fault there, the guard or him. But regardless, outside of that one play, I thought Neal looked good, very good as I could have hoped for, especially being that he was coming off the injury and hasn't been practicing for well over a week. So I thought Neal looked really good. What's going on, Jared? Man, thanks for popping in. Yeah, hit the like, subscribe, ring the bell. Appreciate all you guys for being here. Thank you guys for being here. How much hope when we get O'Shane? No, I don't. Oh, yeah. No, I don't think any of us have high hopes for O'Shane. He's kind of a guy that if he makes the team, he's going to be, on the back end of the roster. He's going to be like the fourth or fifth edge rusher. I still feel like DeVito outplayed Tyrod. You know what? I actually thought Tyrod played well tonight. The first game he didn't play well, but to be fair, our blocking was awful. But I agree, DeVito played better the first game, considering he played really well. Actually, how bad the offensive line was, he played tough. But I actually thought Tyrod played well tonight. He kind of looked to run first a lot, but he hit the big hitter to Jalen Hyatt, but he was wide open. I thought Tyrod played well for a backup. He's going to be the backup going into the year. There's no doubt about that. But obviously Jones is the clear starter. DeVito's a fine QB3, and I think he's a guy that you hope, whether it be him or whether it be somebody else, maybe you draft next year or pick up next year, you hope you're able to develop a guy that could be a solid QB2 that you don't have to pay $6 or $7 million a year like you're paying Tyrod Taylor currently. So you can use that money elsewhere to retain a guy like Xavier McKinney or whatever. So that's probably the goal, and hopefully DeVito becomes that long term. But obviously Tyrod's the backup going into the year. Let's see. My favorite part of the preseason is all 6 of the draft picks look like locks to make the team. Oh, 100%. Jalen Hyatt. I don't even got to go over it. They're all locks to make the team. And all of them have looked pretty good. JMS has looked very good his first 2 games. Jalen Hyatt looked really good tonight. He had the drop, but still, even on the drop, it was a route where he created a ton of separation, right? How often did we see that last year where guys were running with nobody around them? So even the play where he had the drop before the touchdown, he was wide open. Hyatt's looked really good. JMS has looked really good. Yeah, we've talked about Riley at, he's been great. Hawkins, he's been getting rave reviews in practices. He's played pretty well in the preseason games. So, yeah, it's encouraging. The rookies have looked really good. Let's just hope that Danny stays healthy. From your lips to God. That's every team, though, right? That's every team. Like I had somebody, talk to, I forgot what it was, but we were talking about that last night in the live stream. I forgot what the exact quote was that somebody said in the chat, but that's every team. If the quarterback goes down, you're usually not going to win very many football games in the NFL. There's a reason that even pretty good starting quarterbacks make a lot of money because there's not a lot of pretty good starting quarterbacks. It's the most important position. So, Yeah, that goes without saying, but that's for every team in the league. The QB1's got to stay healthy if you want to do damage. Owens played well. He had a couple of nice plays for sure. He had a couple of nice plays. I think he had a pass breakup, if I'm not mistaken, later in the game. He had a nice hit, if I recall, off the top of my head. He played pretty well. Another rookie. I think he was a 7th rounder, Ricardo. Let's see. If not, he was a 6th rounder. He might have been a 6th rounder. Let's see. Rookies all tonight. Love to see it. They were great. It looks like Daniel is so confident. I'm telling you right now, Daniel Jones is going to be confident this year. Second year in an offensive system is going to do wonders. It's not it's not the second year in the Jason Garrett offense we're talking about here. It's second year in one of the best play callers in the National Football League. Second year with him, with Brian Dable, Mike Kafka. It's going to do wonders. People take everything I say out of context on Twitter because they just love to question and hate Daniel Jones. I'm not comparing them to the quarterbacks that I talk about when I show their upgrade from year 1 to year 2 in their schemes, historically speaking. Matt Ryan threw 22 touchdowns and 16 picks his first year with Shanahan. The next year he won the MVP. Threw 38 touchdowns and 7 picks. Aaron Rodgers, his first year with LaFleur as the head coach, I think threw 25 touchdowns and 6 or 7 picks. The next year he threw 48 touchdowns and 5 picks. He won the MVP. Jalen Hurts came damn close second year in his system to winning the MVP. Jared Goff last year went from an 18 touchdown passer to 29, second year in the system with Detroit. As you evolve, as you get more confident in the offensive system, you're going to play a lot better. Last year, Daniel Jones was great, like he's been doing every year. He's basically been a rookie in the NFL every year because every year he's had to learn a new offensive system outside of his second year with Jason Garrett, which was a disaster. So this year, yeah, I think you should have a lot of confidence that Daniel Jones is going to be that much better this year. And this offense is going to be that much better this year. Grant, man, thank you very much. He says, thoughts on Riley? Loved what I saw. I thought he was the standout. I mentioned him last night on the show. I think it was on my channel with Bad Dog. And I didn't think he was getting talked about enough off of the first game. Because I remember I saw a few plays after people did film breakdowns. I'm like, wow, this guy's talented. And tonight, I mean, dude, breaking out party for Jordan Riley. And he did a lot of that. He did that against the first team offense of Carolina. He played throughout the game, but he was playing against the first team offense of Carolina for some of those plays, where he was shedding blockers and making plays and creating tackles for loss in the run game. He was great, Jordan Riley. He was great. I don't think Nacho played. I don't think Nacho played today. Reality says, how good did we look with the starters in stand up? I mean, as good as you could have hoped for, I think. If you want to be nitpicky, the only thing that you could really complain about, in my opinion, at least from the first, from the first teamers, was the sloppiness on the defense. A lot of penalties, right? We had 4 penalties, I think, in the first 2 or 3 drives, whatever it was. We had 3 offsides where Jihad Ward lined up offsides. Dexter Lawrence was offsides, and I think it was Deontay Banks was offsides. And then, of course, the roughing the passer. So if you want to nitpick, that's one thing that you could say. But outside of that, I don't see much that you could complain about after tonight, the way that both the first team offense and the first team defense played. Let's see. Chris, does Matt Parrott make the team? I mean, he might. We don't really have a good swing tackle. He might. I just pray he never plays. If he does, he's not very good. So he might. I'll give Parrott a little bit of credit. He was bad on 1 or 2 plays tonight, but he did okay. I mentioned it a couple. But again, you're going up against third teamers. So what does that mean? But he might make the team as a swing tackle. Hopefully not. I don't think he's very good. But if he does, I don't want him to play much this year at all. And what's up, Matthew Stein? Man, thanks for popping to the stream. Shep did not make any plays, which made me sad, but he still makes the team. I think Shep makes the team if Wan'Dale doesn't start the year with the team. And the other thing is, I don't know how serious the Cole Beasley injury is. I don't think it's very serious. I would definitely label Beasley probably the favorite over Shep right now, just based off of his familiarity with Dable, the way he looked in the first game, the way that he's looked in training camp by all accounts. So I think Beasley, if he's healthy, is probably ahead of Shep at this point. But if Wan'Dale doesn't start the year with the Giants, I think Shep's making the team. I do. I think he'll make the team. But we'll see. I don't think it's a shoo-in like a lot of Giants fans think. I know he's a fan favorite. I love Shep. I'd love to see him make the team and have a great year this year. I'm leaning he'll make the team because I don't think Wan'Dale's going to start the year. If Wan'Dale starts the year, though, I mean, then you're looking at, if Beasley's making the team, then you're looking at the obvious top four, and top five, rather, if Wan'Dell's making the team. Hyatt, Wan'Dell, Hodgins, Slayton, and Paris Campbell. Those five are a lock if Wan'Dell's making the team. And then if you're going six, Beasley's your sixth. So if Wan'Dell's going to start the year, Shep might be on the outside looking in. We'll see. It'll be interesting. Let's see. But I don't think Wan'Dell will start the year. I'm just going based off of what beat reporters have said. I don't think he starts the year. I think the Giants will be a little bit cautious with him. I think he'll start. He'll probably won't play for at least the first 3 or 4 weeks, but we'll see. He hasn't played in training camp yet, right? I know he's played in practices. I think I saw today Jordan Renan said he may start the year, or it was one of the beat reporters. I can't remember which one. But I agree with what Elvis said in the chat. I'm leaning that I'm leaning that Wan'Dell's not going to start the year. Ian, what's going on, man? Midfield logo looks sweet. I don't know how to feel about the midfield logo. I don't. I think I like it. I think I need a little bit more time to let it sink in. I think I like it. I think I'm just a guy that doesn't always love change. So I know everybody loves it. I've seen people give rave reviews about it on Twitter. I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to seeing the NFL there all the time, and it's just going to take me maybe like 4 or 5 weeks to be like, yeah, this is awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's the Giants logo. I can't really be upset about that. Let's go. Let's see. And Gerald, man, thank you for being a member for 31 months. Chris, give your opinion on the players' stock up, stock down. Let's go, G-Men. Well, I'm going to say even for Jones because I know he's going to be good this year. He played great, but he did what I thought he would do tonight. So even, he was great tonight. I would say Evan Neal stock at least slightly up tonight. I thought he played well. Not that, again, I think Kayvon's going to be great, but there's people like questioning him. So if you're questioning him, I think his stock's up. He had a sack. He had a pressure on only like 3 drives tonight. He looked good. Who else? I mean, of course, Jordan Riley. His stock is way up. Like up to the point where he may be a part of the rotation on this defensive line, like early this year. Like he's looked good. Let's see. Who else? Hyatt caught a touchdown, had a nice double move there. Stock up a little bit. Stock down. Like, let's be nitpicky here. I mean, Waller, we know what we got. I don't need to say stock up. We got a Pro Bowl, top 3 tight end in the league in terms of a pass catcher there. Stock down. I'm going to go. I'll go Flott. I think his stock's down. And I still like Flott. I still think Flott could be a good player for the Giants. But I was hoping for more at this point. I was hoping that he would have solidified that slot corner spot at this point. He hasn't done it. So I will go slot down with him. Stock down. I'm saying slot down because he plays the slot. Who else? Corbin's up. I think Corbin's making this team. I think Corbin's stock is up. Yeah. I'm trying to think of. I mean, there's not many guys you could say down tonight because the guys that matter played really well. If I pick one, I think I'd pick Cordell Flott. James Robinson, yeah, I don't think James Robinson's making this team. I think he's out. Tommy B, he says no starters next week since we play the Jets week 8. I think it'll be similar. I think you'll probably see one drive. I think they should give the starters a drive, Tommy. But vanilla playbook. Don't show the Jets anything, special. But I think it would be good to get Jones and the first team offense to get to go up against the Jets first team defense. If the Jets play their first team defense, because the Jets have one of the better first team defenses in the NFL. So I think that would be a good test for the offense. Just a drive or two. If they play well in the first drive, Daniel, take a seat. If it's a 3 and out or, maybe a, 5-play drive, you punt, give them another drive. But I wouldn't do anything crazy. Maybe 1 or 2 drives. That's it. But I would like to see them get 1 or 2 drives against the Jets first team defense. But outside of that, I agree with you. Let them sit, let them rest. It also depends on what the Jets do. Like if Aaron Rodgers isn't going to play, I don't know if he is or isn't. But if Aaron Rodgers isn't going to play, I mean, what are you really going to gain, playing your first team defense, right? If Rodgers plays, yeah, I'd like to see the first team defense play a little bit. Get you a little bit of a tune up there before the start of the regular season. So I think some of it will depend on what the Jets do as well. Let's see. I think we'll be looking for backup line. I mean, for sure, J Sports Cards for sure. Would next week against the Jets be our dress rehearsal or no starters? No, what I just said. I think I just answered that. How did Azudu look? I'd have to look. I wasn't looking at him individually. I will say the first game, Azudu did not impress me. I remember that. I remember there was like 3 or 4 plays in the first game where it was noticeable that Azudu was doing a really bad job. And I guess that's another guy who stocks down slightly, at least. I think going into the year, we were at least hoping. I thought for sure Bredesen and Glowinski were going to be the starters to start the season when training camp started, and I still think they're going to be. But I think I was kind of hoping that Azudu would at least challenge them. I don't even think he's really challenged them. I think it's going to be. I know that they've been rotating, but I think that's more so to get Azudu as much experience as they can, because I think at some point this year they probably plan for Azudu to hopefully take over for one of the 2 players, Glowinski or Bredesen. But I don't think he's going to start the year. I think Glowinski and Bredesen will be the 2 starters to start the year. The offensive line you showed tonight. Shout out to Ed the Tin in the chat. What's going on, Grandpapa Cap? They play the Jets almost every season and rest their guys. If they rest their guys, they rest their guys. I think the third game, definitely the second half, and probably the last 2.5 quarters, no matter what, it's going to be the back end guys competing for those back end spots. The Jamison Crowders of the world, the Sterling Shepherds of the world, the Cole Beasley if he plays. Those guys will get some time. But they probably know already who's going to make the team, especially at that position. Let's see. Man, I just love Waller, not only as a player, but just as a person. Every time the camera panned on him, he was just laughing. It was great. It was great to see on the sideline. There was one shot where it was Jones with Barkley, Waller. I think it was Shep. I can't remember. It was like all the wide receivers, Slayton. They were all huddled around Daniel Jones. You could tell how much they respect one another. What about Colin Johnson's hurt, so I don't think Colin Johnson's making this team. I was rooting for him when training camp started, because I thought he'd be a good fit to potentially be a nice sub-in for a guy like Isaiah Hodgins if he were to get hurt. I feel like they're somewhat similar, and we don't really have many other wide receivers on this team like that. But I don't think he's making this team, especially after he had the injury that he did. Crowder's got an outside chance. I'm leaning he will not make it, but he's got an outside chance. He had that one nice catch where he bobbled it and he was able to bring it in. But he hasn't even been fielding the punts, right? I thought if Crowder was going to make this team, he was going to have to, be a guy that contributes on special teams. The guy that's been fielding the punts has been Eric Gray. So I think that's kind of telling me that more than likely Crowder doesn't make it. But hey, we may be surprised, and we'll see who stays healthy. That's part of that's a good reason to bring in as many good players as you can at a certain position, before the start of training camp, before the start of preseason, because you can't predict injuries that are going to happen in these preseason game practices, so on and so forth. So we'll see how healthy all the players look, when they have to make the final 53-man cut down. But if everybody stays healthy, I'd be surprised at this point if Crowder makes the team. Michael says, really confident in the W week 1. Stand up. I'm confident in the W week 1. I've been confident since the schedule came out. Maybe I'm crazy. Last year, I thought we were going to lose week 1. I hated our matchup week 1. I looked at it as a matchup last year where you had a first-year head coach. And, of course, I knew nothing about Dable as a head coach. Obviously, I knew he was a good offensive coordinator. But you had a first-year head coach, and you were going up against Vrabel, who had been coaching with Tennessee for 4 years. Of course, a very respected coach, very good coach, on the road. Like, I hated that matchup. I hated the way it broke down, especially early in the year. I love the way the Cowboys matchup sets up because, as I've said several times, first off, I think, especially in week 1, having a great head coach is a tremendous advantage because there's 2 months to prepare for that game. Brian Dable's been game planning for this Cowboys game all summer. He's been getting ready for this Cowboys game all summer. Mid-season, week 3, week 4, you can't do that, right? You got to prepare week to week. But the fact that they've had months to prepare for this game, the fact that the Cowboys have a new play caller, I know he's the head coach. I know he was there last year, but it's still a new play caller. They don't have Kellen Moore anymore. I have to think there's a little bit of a transition there for that offense. They're not going to hit the ground running. We'll see. And the fact that we're home, I don't think, because you have to play the Cowboys no matter what, I don't think it could have set up any better than it did for the New York Giants in terms of when we play them on our schedule. I'm very confident going into that game. Could we lose? Of course. The Cowboys are very good. But I think we have a very good chance to win that game. A very good chance to win that game. But we saw it last year. It's going to come down to Evan Neal. Evan Neal cannot get destroyed off the edge. Tank Lawrence can't, manhandle him. If he does that, we're not winning the game. We're just not. You cannot win a game in the NFL when your quarterback gets pressured 25 times in like 27 dropbacks or whatever it was last year with Daniel Jones. Can't happen. It was a miracle. In my opinion, that might have been Daniel Jones' best game last year. Second or third best game. I know the stats don't say it. But when you factor in the circumstance, he was pressured 25 times on 27 dropbacks. The fact that the Giants didn't lose that game by 20 points is a miracle. That can't happen this year. So Evan Neal's got to do a much better job. That's the biggest key to the game. But I do like, for all the reasons that I said, I do think the Giants stand a very good chance to win that football game. I'm confident going into week 1. I really am. Let's see. And Pete, my man, what's going on, Pete? He says, important to remember that our first-team offense looked like that without Saquon and in a vanilla playbook. They're not. You think that Kafka's showing you all the bells and whistles? You think that Dable's showing you all the bells and whistles in a preseason game? No chance. So yeah, Jones looked confident. Jones looked Jones looked great. Jones looked great. Just the whole offense. The offensive line looked really well. And Pete, man, thank you for becoming a member, man. Stand up, man. I appreciate it, man. Dr. Grape just took a huge dump. Good for you. Hopefully you didn't miss the bolt. Thanks for popping in, my man. Let's see what we got. We could give the Cowboys a second-round pick and let Jerry draft for us. I'm pretty happy with the guy who's drafted for us right now. I don't know about you. I'm looking at some of these guys that he got in the 6th, 7th round. I don't know about you. Jordan Riley looks pretty damn good. I don't know about you. Trey Hawkins looks pretty damn good. So I'm pretty happy with the guy we got drafted for us right now. And Dante, thank you for becoming a new member, man. Stand up. What's going on, my man? Chris, does this win grow your confidence in winning for the first game against the Cowgirls? No. My confidence has not shifted any less or any more based off this game because I have been speaking what I feel all offseason. I think Daniel Jones is going to have a great year. I think Daniel Jones is going to have a great year. I've said it now for months. I think at the end of this season, you will not – you know how, like, when you say it now, people say you sound like a fool, or some people do. No one will be able to say that you sound like a fool if you say Daniel Jones is a top 10 quarterback at the end of this season. That's what I think is going to happen. I think he's going to get a ton of respect from around the league. And if I feel that, why can't we beat the Dallas Cowboys? With all the other variables that I said. So, no, my confidence has not shifted either way off this game. I'm still very confident that we could beat the Dallas Cowboys week 1. I was very confident before this game tonight. Let's see what we got. Desmond, he says, let's go, G-Men. I'm excited for this year. I can't wait, man. I can't wait to see this team lace him up, man, on Sunday night. I cannot wait. Why do you think they didn't run it all in the first drive? Nona, if I had to guess, because they probably went into the game thinking and knowing that if they had an effective first drive, it was going to be Daniel Jones's only drive. So they said, let's get him some work. Let's go out there. Let's throw the rock. Of course, in a regular season game, you're not going to throw 9 times and not run the ball once on most drives. Here and there, sure. But I think that was it. I think all week they probably structured the first drive, the game plan, what they were going to do. They said if it works out well, we'll get Daniel Jones some work. He'll get 8 or 9 passing attempts, and we'll get him out of there. He'll stay healthy, and we'll get him ready for week 3 of the preseason. So that's why. That's why I think they threw as much as they did on the first drive. Let's see. Daniel Jones will be a top 10 quarterback after this year. Call me crazy, Andrew. I thought he was a top 10 quarterback last year. Call me crazy. I judge top 10 quarterbacks different than other people, but the way that I could say, honestly, in my heart of hearts, I don't think there were 10 other quarterbacks in the NFL last year that would have brought this New York Giants team to the playoffs. I believe that. So I think he was top 10 quarterback last year. I think he's going to be better this year. What's up, Carlos Sanchez? Man, thanks for popping in the stream. What's going on there? Bookend, man, thanks for popping in. Let's see. DJ heard all the haters. He said, we ain't running, boys. David Lopez says, talk is cheap, ladies and gentlemen. Until they actually beat the Cowboys have to be the I agree with that. You got to respect the Cowboys. Dak is. Now, what I will say is, one thing that I can't stand, anytime you get into a debate with a Cowboys fan or a Giants fan that likes to stick up for Dak Prescott, I'm not saying you're doing that. The stat they will throw at you, and I agree with you, this is why you have to give the Cowboys respect until we beat them. Dak Prescott is 10-2 since he's been a starter in the NFL against the New York Giants. And his only 2 losses came his rookie year when the Cowboys had the best team, since he's been in the NFL. The Giants just were a really good defense that year, and they were able to beat him twice. But Cowboys fans always throw that stat in my face. Like when you say, Dak's pretty good. He's pretty good. And then they say, oh, well, he's 10-2 against your team. Who are you to speak on Dak Prescott? Do me a favor. Look at the New York Giants from 2017 on and tell me a quarterback, if they played the Giants 12 times, probably wouldn't be 10-2. Like, you're bragging about beating collectively between 2017 and 2021, the worst team in the NFL over that 5-year stretch or whatever it was, 4-year stretch. So I laugh at that. I'm like, okay, he was 10-2. Okay. Teddy Bridgewater would have been 10-2 with the Dallas Cowboys. Like, what does that mean? So I just can't stand that when Cowboys fans brag about his record. Okay, the Giants were awful. But I agree with you. I think until we beat them, they deserve to be the favorites. Bill, man, thank you very much, man. Dude, Bill, thank you so much, man. Finally confident we could be competitive against any team. Listen, coaching matters in the NFL. Coaching matters in the NFL. And I know a lot of people are looking at the schedule, and I understand it. Our schedule looks challenging. Although the 49ers, maybe there's some, maybe they're not going to be quite as good as we think, right? The quarterback looks kind of questionable. We'll see. I still think the 49ers are tremendous, and I think it's going to be fits for our defense. But the 49ers, the Dolphins, the Jets, the Bills, we know. Preseason, you look at the schedule, looks tough. So I get that part of it. But coaching matters in the NFL. There's a reason that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season in the league. And the Steelers have fluctuated talent. Like last year, they had Kenny Pickett as a rookie quarterback. They still finished 500 or better, whatever it was. I'm sure they've had years where they've had brutal schedules, and it's not like they've always had this incredibly talented team. Ben's gotten hurt. They found ways to go over 500. Coaching matters in the NFL. When you have a really good coach, which I think the New York Giants have, you're going to find ways to win some games that a lot of people think you may not win because you're going to outcoach your opponent. Football is the most important sport when it comes to coaching, and I'm very confident with the guy that we got, as should every Giants fan. He won Coach of the Year last year, for God's sakes. He was so good, he's only been here for 1 year. He's making 4 commercials. I mean, come on. You didn't see Joe Judge getting 4 commercials. And Bill, he says, but I agree with you. I look at our schedule this year, Bill, and this is something when you factor in that we're playing as tough as a schedule as we are, and maybe we do only win 8 games this year, because we play a really hard schedule. I won't rule that out as a possibility, but I go into the year saying we're going to compete with every team on our schedule. Maybe outside of the Eagles, who destroyed us last year, but we're gonna be able to compete with these teams on a week out basis. We're gonna have a chance in these games, late in this game, to win most of these games that we have on our schedule. And you couldn't say that in the past. And I think that goes to coaching, and I think it goes to the upgrade in talent and the upgrade in overall depth in this football team. Pete, what's going on, man? Kellen Moore is gone. He was the brain trust of that offense. McCarthy hasn't been an innovative play caller since 2008. Dallas is vulnerable. Well, especially early on, Pete. I do think Dallas is going to get back to what they do best, which is going to run the ball. I think they're going to be more balanced than they were under Kellen Moore. I agree that Kellen Moore is a very good play caller, but at times I felt like they were a little too pass-happy, Dallas. I think they'll be a little bit more balanced this year, but catching them early, I think it sets up well. I do. I think it sets up well. I don't think they're going to come out as crisp as people think in terms of throwing the football, but the contrarian could say, that's all well and good, Chris. That's true. That they do have a new play caller. Maybe there's a little bit of rust there. But you also have rookie corners, and that's very fair. And that's what I worry about most going into that game, right? You've got Trey Hawkins. We could all be really excited about him in preseason, in training camp. You've got Deonte Banks, who I think is going to be a really good corner for this team for the next 5 to 10 years, but he's a rookie. So they're going to get tested, and that's going to be the other huge key to that game that you got to worry about, right? With Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, so on and so forth. So we'll see. I'm excited for week 1, though. I really am. Tommy B says, I'd put Hawkins on Lamb and put Banks on. I would. All right. Let me ask the chat what you would do. The more I think about it, the more I think I would put Adoree in the slot in that game. I would put Adoree on CeeDee Lamb. I would put Adoree on CeeDee Lamb in the slot. And I can't believe I'm saying this. I would put Hawkins and I can't believe I'm saying this. I would start Hawkins week 1. I would put Hawkins and Deonte Banks on the outside, and I would put Adoree Jackson in the slot. Because Cordell Flott is not, obviously they don't have, he is not instilled confidence in them. CeeDee Lamb is their best weapon. He plays mainly in the slot. I think that's what I would do. I think I'd put Adoree in the slot. I think I would spy Pollard, because Pollard's a threat in the passing game. I'd have McKinney spied on Pollard. You got to worry about him coming out of the backfield in terms of catching passes. And I would have more speed on the field. They don't have that thumper they used to have with Ezekiel Elliott. I would have extra DBs on the field throughout the majority of that game. I would put Hawkins and Banks on the outside, and I put Adoree in the slot. I think that's what I would do. Let's see what we got. I think that's our best cornerback lineup, to be honest. It might be. Let's see. How are you covered 4 receivers with the quarterbacks getting time? You're not. You got to be able to get home. Giants got to. I mean, we have listen. At the end of the day, it's strength versus strength. That's our biggest strength, in my opinion, on this team. Is our defense, our front 7, our edges, and our defensive line. Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, Azeez Ojulari. You better get home. You better get some pressure on Dak Prescott. You do that, we got a good chance. But, yeah, I mean, we got to get pressure on the quarterback, especially with the rookie corners, no doubt about it. But that's our strength. If we're going to win games against good teams this year, our pass rush is going to get home. Let's see. QB says, does anyone have a VCR I could watch the Cowboys? Let's see. Riding home from the stadium, it's nice to have a positive vibe in the stadium. That's awesome, man. I hope you enjoyed the game. World Heaviest Jam Band. I hope you enjoyed the game, man. Let's see. I agree. Banks on Cooks, 100%. Banks on Cooks. I think that's a perfect matchup for him. He's not like known as like he's not like what's his name, Amari Cooper, who they used to have. He's not like a guy that's gonna like kill you with his route running. Cooks is more known for his straight line speed. He's a big play threat. Deonte Banks has speed. He could run with him. So I agree with you. I think that's the matchup that I would put him on Cooks. I guess Gallup. I'm assuming he's playing in that game. That's probably who Hawkins is paired up on. That's a tough matchup because Gallup's a good wide receiver. Pete, man, thank you very much, man. Dak's O-line isn't what it was. Aging and no longer dominant. Our front 4 is going to be dominant. Will Dak have time to leverage Cook's Lamb against our rookie corners? Maybe not. Listen, I think they're going to hit some plays for sure. And I think Daniel Jones is going to have to make some plays for us to win the game. I don't think we're going to be able to put up 17 points to beat Dallas. I don't. I think we're going to have to score in the mid-20s to beat Dallas. 24, 25, 27. Yeah, I think we're going to have to do that. I don't think we're going to be able to just run the ball down their throat, chew up the clock. Jones is going to have to make some plays. But I think he's going to. I think we're going to win the game. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I think we're going to win that game. Let's see. I mean, Dak threw, 2 or 3 picks against the Giants last year, didn't he? But we just got destroyed in the second half. But I think he threw at least 2 picks against us in the second game. And in the only game he played against us. He, of course, didn't play in the first game against us last year. Let's see. I think we need to find a way to keep the coaching staff intact. It's so refreshing after all we had Coughlin. By the way, we should have been – Tom Coughlin? Yeah, that's a joke. That's a joke. And I want to be completely fair. I'm not educated enough to know. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. I don't know the way that they put coaches into the Hall of Fame. Maybe you're not allowed to put multiple coaches into the Hall of Fame in 1 year. Maybe you're only allowed to put in one coach at a time. If that's the case, I don't even know who got in over him. If there's a coach that's going to get in over him, maybe that's the case. But if that's not the case, and you could put in multiple head coaches in the same Hall of Fame class, that's ridiculous. Tom Coughlin, we talk about how you can't tell the story of the NFL without Eli Manning. You can't tell the story of the NFL without Tom Coughlin. Tom Coughlin took a Giants team in 2007 who had no business by most people's standards even going to the Super Bowl and beat the greatest team in the history of football. And then he beat him again a second time. He beat Bill Belichick, right? Twice. He beat the greatest head coach in the history of football twice in the biggest game. And of course, he was, part of the coaching staff, for the one of the earlier Super Bowls with the Giants as well. And he took the Jaguars to the AFC title game in their second year in existence. And then he brought him back there again. So, yeah, it's a joke. He'll get in, but he should have got in already. But it would be cool if Coughlin and Eli got to go in together. I will say that. That would be, perfect. Danny says, what game you planning to go? You should come to the San Francisco game. The Jet game. I got to speak to my brother because that's who I'm going to go with. But we talked probably 3 months ago, and he was saying we got to go to the Jet game. So I know that's the most expensive game, but I don't care. That's probably the game we're going to go to. We'll see. But that's what I'm leaning right now. And that'll be a great game to go to. That'll be a fun game. Great atmosphere. Let's see. Frank says, Tana, this is at El Conti 1970 on X. Daniel Jones is a top 5 quarterback end of this. I love you. I love you, Frank. I love when fans say that. I hope you're right. I just don't want to put those kind of expectations on him. But I think Daniel Jones is going to have a good year. Very good year. Very good year. So I'll just say that. At the end of the day, I don't care. I really don't care. People used to argue, is Eli Manning a top 5 quarterback? Is Eli Manning a top 10 quarterback? I didn't care where he ranked because I knew when the Giants had a team capable of winning, he could win. And I feel the same way about Daniel Jones. When the Giants build a team capable of winning and they're starting to get there, he can win. I believe that in my heart of hearts. That's all I care about. That's where I rank Daniel Jones. Can I win a Super Bowl with Daniel Jones? I 100% believe I can win a Super Bowl with Daniel Jones. 100% think the New York Giants can win a Super Bowl with Daniel Jones. I don't care if he's the 11th best quarterback, the 9th best quarterback, the 13th best. I don't care. I can win a Super Bowl with Daniel Jones if this team is built properly and they continue to improve the offensive line. They get him some help. They get him some weapons. Dable stays here. That's the way I feel. That's why I wanted the Giants to keep him. I don't care where he ranks. To me, that's talk for ESPN, barbershop talk, whatever you want to call it. I think we can win with Daniel Jones. Pete, thank you very much, man. Jacob said it best. Can't stand the damn Jets. Let's go, man. Yeah, I mean, Eli's the end of Eli's career is kind of like the beginning of Daniel Jones's career, where, I mean, I don't want to say nothing. Let's be fair. I mean, he had no offensive line. They definitely did not give him an offensive line. It was awful. He did have Odell Beckham. That helped him. But, yeah. Muted. I'm still muted. Now I'm not muted. Sorry about that. But that doesn't just happen. I went to the crappy mic. That doesn't just happen with Eli Manning. He didn't just fall off a cliff for no reason. Let's see. I'm getting a new cord this weekend, though. Probably tomorrow. I'm going to go to Best Buy because this cord just comes loose. That's what the problem is. I don't know. I spent like $300 on the mic, but the cord can't stay in. Either that or we're all deaf. Let's see. We got to get Chris. It's not the mic, Bill. It's just the cord. I'm gonna get the cord this weekend. I'm gonna go to Best Buy. It better not be the mic. This is like whenever you watch like Pat McAfee and all the guys on ESPN. This is the mic they use, so it better not be the mic. I spent a lot on that mic. Let's see. It's the cord, Toba. It's the cord. Tommy says Waller wins MVP if Slayton Hyatt running 9 routes. No, Waller's not going to win the MVP, but Waller's great. I'm excited about it. The thing with Waller is he just got to stay healthy. Let's be real. The Giants were in no way a well-coached team under Coughlin. We lost so many games in so many dumb ways. You don't think the Giants were a well-coached team with Tom Coughlin? How do you figure? The Giants didn't have a losing season from 2005. He started in 2004 with a rookie quarterback, so throw that out the window. Rookie quarterbacks never have good years. 2005 to 2012, he didn't have a losing season. How do you figure that he wasn't a good? He won 2 Super Bowls, didn't have a losing season, and played in one of the toughest divisions in football. The Cowboys were really good during that stretch. The Eagles were good. Of course, he was good. He was great. Let's see what we got. What do you think Wan'Dale can add to this offense that Beasley can't? Oh, I definitely think Wan'Dale's he's more flexible. Let's put it that way in terms of what you can do with him than a guy like Cole Beasley. Beasley is, I think, just exclusively a guy that's, and I like Beasley. I think he's a good fit and a necessary piece for this offense. I think he's at least early on in the year. We'll see when Wan'Dale gets back, and we'll see what Shepard could be. But I think Beasley's a guy that is a really good slot receiver. Could definitely get you crucial third down pickups, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. We remember that as Giants fans. He was always so annoying to guard against when he was with the Dallas Cowboys. He's 34, but that's the type of wide receiver he is. But he's kind of strictly a slot wide receiver. I think Wan'Dale is more of a chess piece that you could do different things with. He's more explosive. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay on the field. But yeah, I definitely think he's more. You could do more with a guy like Wan'Dale than a guy like Cole Beasley. I think Cole Beasley is strictly in the slot. Let's see what we got. Aaron says, any player surprised you today that you weren't expecting? I guess Riley, even though I liked Riley before this game started. I said it last, but I didn't think he was going to look that good. So Riley, he was going up against some of the first teamers, man. So I'll go with him. I go with Riley, and I'll say Evan Neal. I thought Evan Neal played. I'll say the first team offensive line in general, just as a unit, because that's really what's most important. Albeit only one drive that they played together, but they looked really good. Let's see. The thing with the coach, what that guy said about Tom Coughlin, the thing with the coach is this. You could say that about any coach. There's always going to be times where you're going to be able to nitpick and say, well, he should have done this better here. You should have done this better there. But at the end of the day, Tom Coughlin in whole, he was a great coach. His resume speaks for itself. He took an expansion team to the AFC title game in his second year with the Jaguars. He won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants. Come on. Of course, he's a great coach. Let's see. Yo, Entertainer, how about the turf? No injuries, so I'm assuming the turf is A1. I don't know. We didn't have any key injuries, so that's great. Hopefully it keeps up. I don't even want to talk about it. I'm scared to talk about it. But hopefully it keeps up, man. Let's see. The thing is, Chris, that Ryan guy may just be. I don't know. Let's see. I think it has more to do with the training. You talking about the injuries? I always thought the turf thing was nonsense in terms of. I don't want to use the term nonsense, but I think people overrated. I thought it was like a piece of the puzzle, but it wasn't the main reason why the Giants had as many injuries as we've had. I think it was a piece of it, but not nearly as big of a piece as a lot of people let on. But, if it even helps us a little bit, that's great. And the turf that we had was awful. But I do agree with you. I think the training, something to do with the training. That's definitely part of it as well. And let's be real. Luck is a factor, too. We've had some bad luck with injuries. Pete, thank you very much, man. If Dak throws an interception week 1, Parsons will lay into him on the sideline. We win either way. I sure hope so. Listen, Dak is not allergic to interceptions. We saw that last year. He led the league, and I think he missed 4 or 5 games. If Daniel Jones plays a clean game, we block. I think we got a good chance to beat Dallas. I think we can create a couple of turnovers with Wink as the DC. I really do. Especially with a new play caller. Let's see. Micah wants to be a Giant. I don't know. I think Micah's just talking smack, but he's about to run into Andrew Thomas, so good luck with that. I still love Coughlin, Davey. I want him to get into the Hall of Fame, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Why did the fans run a marathon? Because it was fun. It was at a hype-up event. It was fun. It was before the year started. You're at a you're at Fan Fest. It was fun. Whatever. Bobby said we're gonna run a lap. I said let's run a lap. Who cares? I'd do it again. Not for Judge now, but I'd do it again if I was at a hype up event before the year started. Let's see. You should watch sloppy Madden moments for. I'm not a big Madden guy. I'm not. I haven't played Madden in years. And everybody tells me Madden's gotten worse and worse and worse. Mets, what's going on, man? Can we get Van Pelt to be the Cowboys kick holder so Mark could go flying his what? What's up, Mets? Good to see you, man. But thank you guys for being here. Hopefully you guys were as excited as I was tonight after this game. One thing I want to say to you guys, I want to do this year. I'm talking to, we'll see if he does it. If not, I'll just do it solo. I'd like to have it with a co-host. Obviously I do the thing with Bad Dog, but I want to do, rather than going live directly after the game. Well, it depends on when the game is. If the game's at like 8:00, I got to go live directly after the game. But if it's like a 1:00 game, I want to do like a 7 or 8 o'clock show, like a live show with a co-host. So that's something I'm thinking about doing this year, like, an organized show where we break down the game. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Of course, I'm still going to do all the lives the night before stream, having you guys on as callers. I'm looking forward to that. I want to get a new content creator on every week. That's something that I want to do this year too. So I just can't wait, man. I can't wait to talk about this team with you guys this year. Copeland is an average coach at best. The 2 defensive coordinators won those 2 Super Bowls. Okay. What's up, Big Blue 56, man? Thanks for popping in. Is there any way, according to my sources, aka me, after another disappointing Cowboys season, Michael will request? I don't want to simp over or whatever the term is kids use. I don't want to simp over other players. I want Kayvon to be the next guy. Let's see. No, it's not. I like Mike, but no, it's not Mike. It's somebody else. What's up, Demon Man? Thanks for popping in, man. 90% chance Dallas sweeps again. I don't think so. But maybe I'll be wrong. I don't think so. I don't think they're sweeping us this year. But I've been wrong before. I thought we were going to win 9 games with Joe Judge year 2. And we had a ton of injuries, but we probably would have won only 6 if Daniel Jones stayed healthy that year. So I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. It's time for the Eagles to get a taste of their own medicine. I don't care. We have to beat them. I'll worry about the Eagles in week 15. I can't predict what the Eagles are going to look like, at the end of the year and what we're going to look like. You don't know. Injuries happen. Teams evolve. I'll worry about the Eagles at the end of the year. I'm not worried about the Eagles right now. Right now, I'm worried about the Dallas Cowboys. What would you say is the greatest moment in all of sports? Could be outside of football. Mine is the Hail Melon. The greatest moment in all of sports. I mean, I'm biased. I'm a New York fan, so I'm going to give you New York moments. I'm a Met. I'll give you my team's best moments. Well, with the Mets, it's got to be the Buckner Bowl. Like, that's the most famous one, arguably the most famous play in baseball history. So that for the Mets. For the Giants, it's got to, in my opinion, it's got to be knocking off the undefeated Patriots. I mean, or you could argue the missed field goal against the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. But I think it's got to be I think it's got to be knocking off the undefeated Patriots for the Giants. And then for the Knicks in my lifetime, it's either the LJ 4-point play, for me anyway. That's probably my favorite moment since I've been watching the team. Yeah, I think I would go with that for me. I mean, of course, you got the Starks dunk over Jordan, but he didn't really dunk over Jordan. You've got the Allen Houston game winner against the Miami Heat during that same playoff run. But for the Giants, yeah, I think it's knocking off the undefeated Patriots. Word says, I'm ready for Hyatt. Let's go. Look great tonight, man. Who's winning the division? No back-to-back division winners since 2005. I'm going to pick the Eagles because I want them to have all the pressure going into the year. I like that the Eagles are getting all the rave, as they should. They went to the Super Bowl last year, but I want them to be the guys. I want everybody to think Jalen Hurts is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I want them to have all the pressure. So I'm going to pick the Eagles, and I should. I mean, we got to prove it first, but they're still a better team than us. Let's be real. We played them 3 times last year. They smacked us. We got to prove that we're on their level before I could pick us against them. Rangers winning in 94, great moment. 94 in general is probably, I would say the three best New York sports years in my, I actually answered this today on Twitter. The three best New York sports collectively years in my lifetime. I was born in 85. I didn't get to see it, but I'm going to count it. 86, the Mets and Giants both won championships. 94, the Rangers and the Knicks were both in the finals at the same time. 2000, the Mets and Yankees played each other in the World Series. And, of course, the Giants went to the Super Bowl. I would say those are the three best years off the top of my head in terms of New York sports collectively in my lifetime. Benjamin Wynn, what's going on, man? Been too long, Dana. Hope all is well. Good to see you, man. Good luck to your Giants this season. How do you think the Rams will do? I still can't stand Max and KP. I think your Rams are in trouble. I do. I think your Rams are in trouble. But, hey, they may surprise me. The NFL's fun. You never know. And you still got one of the better head coaches with McVay. But you've got a lot of older veterans. They're coming off of injuries. And they play in the NFC West, man. I mean, you're playing in the same division as the 49ers. The Seahawks, even though I could see them maybe taking a little bit of a step back this year. But, yeah, I think the Rams maybe middle of the road, 7-8 win team. I don't expect much from the Rams this year. They might be worse than that, but I don't expect much more than that. Chris Roldy's hiding tonight in the What's going on? Would you trade out? No, I would not. I don't want to trade draft picks. I want to keep building through the draft. I don't want to trade draft picks. And if I'm going to trade a draft pick, if I'm going to trade a high-end draft pick, a first-round draft pick, amazing guy, I want it to be for a young player. If I'm trading that high of draft capital, I want it to be for a young player, like what the Bills did. I don't even know. What's Cooper Kupp's age? How old is he anyway? Maybe he's not that old, but I don't know. I don't think I'd want to trade a first-round pick for him. No, he's 30 years old. No, absolutely not. Wide receivers usually break down by 31, 32 in terms of elite level. There's not many elite level wide receivers once they get past that 31, 32 area. No. If I'm trading a first-round pick for a NFL wide receiver, it's going to be a guy like Stephon Diggs was for the Buffalo Bills when he was like 25. It's going to be something like that. I'm not giving up high premium draft capital for a 30-year-old wide receiver. Let's see. I would trade so much for Marvin Harrison, but it's virtually impossible unless we genuinely suck next year. Well, we didn't give up a first-round pick for Darren Waller. I wouldn't have given up a first-round pick for Darren Waller. We gave up a late third-round pick for Darren Waller. That's different. I would give up a late third-round pick for Kupp, but I'm not giving up a first-round pick. Benjamin, what's going on, man? Pretty much the consensus here, LOL. It's why I rather bet my house on Sports Pervert getting a set. Also, hopefully KP gets elected. Good to see you, Benjamin. Thanks for popping in. But yeah, I think you guys are middle of the road. I think you're like 7 wins, 8 wins. I could see you bouncing back a little bit, but your division is just really challenging. Grandpapa Cap says somebody had Kupp on their all-time list over Teal and Moss. That's horrible. Terrell, the best wide receivers I've ever seen are the two you mentioned. Jerry Rice is the greatest. Jerry Rice might be the greatest football player of all time. But Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, Larry Fitzgerald, Marvin Harrison, all those guys are way above him, way above Cooper Kupp. How much better are the Eagles overall compared to the G-Men as far as the quarterback position goes? Marcus Mariota looked horrible in the preseason game against the Browns. Call me a hater. I don't care. Call me a homer. I don't care. I think Daniel Jones is every bit as good as Jalen Hurts. I believe that. People look at stats. You put Daniel Jones on the Eagles. You don't think the Giants go to the Super Bowl last year if Daniel Jones is the Eagles quarterback? You really don't think that? I do. Daniel Jones took the Giants to the divisional round. Look how much better that Eagles football team was. I think Daniel Jones, if everything is equal, if Daniel Jones has A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in the league's best offensive line and he got to play year 2 in a system last year like Hurts did, I think Daniel Jones looked great. Call me crazy. You want to just look at fantasy stats and not take into account all the variables? Sure, go ahead, have it right at it. I think Daniel Jones go toe-to-toe with him. Go toe-to-toe with him. If the Giants build up a team the way the Eagles have built up a team for Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones could do damage. Let's see what we got here. Grant, thank you very much, man. DeVito's escape sack was something else. Yeah, I forgot about that play. I couldn't believe he didn't go down. He gained us about 10 yards on that play because we would have lost 7 or 8. He ended up gaining 2. Charlie says, every day that goes by, the more I believe we go 4-0. I'm not going to go that crazy. But let's see. Jones is just as talented as Hurts. No reason he can't be as good. I agree. If you build up the team. What's up, Jesse, man? Thanks for popping in. I don't look at Jalen Hurts and nothing blows me away about Jalen Hurts. Nothing. I'm not taking away what he did last year. He was great. But I think a lot of quarterbacks would look great with. I'm not saying every quarterback, but I think a lot of quarterbacks would look great with that Eagles team. And I think Daniel Jones would be one of them. Let's see. Got to be the first Super Bowl down 10-9 at the half and dominate second half. Hey, Frank, I didn't get a chance to appreciate the first Super Bowl. So I think everybody's first is always, that's a special place in your heart, right? I'm assuming you got to appreciate that. But for me, the 2007 Super Bowl was my first. I was born in 85. I don't count 86. I don't count 90. I wasn't old enough to really realize, what was going on. So for me, 07 is my special team. And I think it's a very fair argument for your side, being that it was the first, and it's the best Giants team of all time, 1986. But I think you obviously understand my side of the argument. You literally beat the undefeated Patriots, and it's not just that game. It was the whole playoff run. Both are magical. You can make movies, I'm sure, of both. So it's drawing at straws. It's just picking which one's your favorite. Bill, man, thank you very much, man. Hurts is so overrated. He'd be a backup without Howie drafting. Listen, I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to call him a backup. He was very good last year. He went to a Super Bowl. But I don't know. I think at least 15 quarterbacks in the NFL could have went to the Super Bowl last year with last year's Eagles team. At least. So he's definitely a good quarterback. But do I think he's on the level of a Pat Mahomes, in terms of a talent like a Josh Allen, in terms of a talent like a Justin Herbert? No, I do not. I think he's a good quarterback in a great situation, in the best or second best situation. 49ers and Eagles are right there. But hey, he had a great year. There's a reason he was top 3 or 4 for MVP, whatever he was. But do I think that Daniel Jones can catch Jalen Hurts? Absolutely. This Giants offensive line matures, it gets better. You get better weapons. I'll take Daniel Jones. If I'm doing a draft today, I'm taking Daniel Jones over Jalen Hurts. Call me crazy. I'm doing it. I think Daniel Jones is a better thrower. I just think he's better. I do. I think he's a more talented quarterback. I just think he has been set up to fail from the start. And I don't even know if that's a huge compliment because I think Justin Hurts is a good quarterback. I don't even think he's a great quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback in a great situation. That's honestly what I feel. I'm not scared to say it. He should put up great stats this year. For God's sakes, look who he's throwing to and look at his offensive line. Let's see what we got. I played in college. I've coached. I've been watching film since the 90s. I just say shit to say shit. Oh, you say I just don't say shit to say shit. Listen, I respect your opinion, Ryan. I get where you're going when you brought up the defensive coordinator. Of course, Steve Spagnuolo got a ton of credit, as deservedly so. He was a great defensive coordinator, the NASCAR package, everything else. But I don't know. I think you got to give Tom Coughlin some respect, man. I think you got to give Tom Coughlin some respect. The guy has a resume. Let's see. Probably 86 and 90. I was a Niner fan, so they broke my heart. Okay. That's fair, Denise. I think DJ had more poise, has more. I just think DJ's more talented. I do. I really do. But hey, obviously I'm biased. I'm a Giants fan, and he's a freaking Eagle. Of course I'm going to be biased. But that's the God's honest truth. If they were doing a draft today if the Giants had no players and I was on the clock, I didn't have an offensive line, I didn't have any wide receivers, and they said, Chris, you're on the clock. You have to take a quarterback. You have no other surrounding pieces on your team. I would take Daniel Jones. I would. I think he's a better quarterback. What's up, Fabian, man? Thanks for popping in. Jack Murphy says, not many people are capable of doing what Tom Coughlin did in 07, changing his entire approach to coaching. All right, he definitely adjusted. He was a hard ass. I'd still take I don't disagree with that, Poppy. I think Jones, for me to start to say right now, if I was doing a draft, I'm taking. I mean, Rodgers is on his way out, but you still got to give. I mean, the guy won back-to-back MVP, so Rodgers, of course, still. Well, if I'm doing a draft, I'm taking into account age, but if we're just doing it for 1 year, yeah, Rodgers, of course, Herbert, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lawrence. I think Lawrence is really good. There might be, a few others, but I think he's in that next group. I think he's right there after that. Who do you know that runs faster that he can tough his nails, the right forearm? Let's see. Hard to believe with what he said about Tom. I've watched every Giants coach since Ray Perkins. Tom was a great coach. Tom, I love Tom. So, who cares about how many quarterbacks you take over Jones? If he's a good I agree. I mean, Emmanuel, of course, you always want the best because the quarterback's the most important position, but it's not easy to just. I think this is my mindset on the whole situation. Of course, you always want to pat Mahomes. Of course. Like if the Giants could grab a pat, like if in next year's draft, there was a quarterback where we were picking that they knew was going to be as good as Pat Mahomes, of course you would take him. Because Daniel Jones is not Pat Mahomes. And that's not knocking Daniel Jones. So I get that. Like people always want to improve the position. But people act like it is so easy to find that. My argument is you're not going to find another Pat Mahomes. My argument is build up the team with a very good quarterback, and you're not going to beat Pat Mahomes playing like Pat Mahomes. The way you're going to beat Pat Mahomes is the way that we beat Tom Brady. You're going to build a complete roster. You're going to build a strong offensive line. You're going to build a strong pass rush. You're not beating Pat Mahomes in a shootout. Deshaun Watson tried it. He got smoked in the playoffs. It's not happening. You're not going to beat Pat Mahomes in a shootout. The way to beat Pat Mahomes is build up this team the right way, not trying to hit the lottery with a quarterback in the draft. Teams have tried hitting the lottery with the quarterback in the draft for years. They don't hit them. When you have a good quarterback and a guy that has potential to be a borderline great quarterback with his physical upside, if you could build cohesion around him and you could continue to improve this football team, you build around the quarterback and you continue to build up the football team around him. That's my mindset. Rather than try to chase a lottery ticket and try to find the next Pat Mahomes. You could be searching for the next Pat Mahomes for the next 50 years. I mean, come on. So that's my mindset. Build up the team. You're not beating Mahomes by getting another. You're not going to out gunsling Pat Mahomes. So that's my mindset on the situation. If Pat Mahomes was drafted by the Browns, I'm not sure he's even still playing. Well, Ryan's got hot takes. Ryan's got hot takes, and I respect it. That is a very hot take. You're wrong, but that is a very hot. I get where you're going with it, at least, though, Ryan, because you're saying the Browns are a team that constantly gives up on quarterbacks. He went into a situation. Let's be real, and Pat Mahomes is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen, by the way. I'm going to start by saying that, but let's be real. Pat Mahomes went into as perfect of a situation as you could have. So I get where you're going, at least. Andy Reid, he got to sit behind the smartest quarterback in the NFL with Alex Smith. Sat for a year, had the best offensive coach in football. The Browns, constant instability. They build the team the wrong way. But no, I completely disagree. At the end of the day, Pat Mahomes is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. So I disagree. And when you pair him with an Andy Reid, magic happens. When you pair the greatest offensive coach with the greatest quarterback, it's nearly unbeatable. But at least I could get your argument that you would make. Let's see. But coaching matters a lot in the NFL, and I think a lot of people don't take that into account when they talk about quarterbacks. Let's see. Yeah, Jones looked really good tonight, Aiden. Peyton and Favre broke records with throwing 26 interceptions in 1 year. All right. Well, yeah, it was a different game back then, though. I mean, it wasn't uncommon for quarterbacks to throw tons of picks back then. The game has evolved to more of a quick hitter, short pass, kind of like the way that Steve Young was in the West Coast offense with the 49ers. The game's kind of evolved to that style of play. Richard, thank you very much, man. DJ, top 5 quarterback this season. Book it. Danny DeVito. I sure hope you're right, Richard. Top 5 is a big number. I don't want to set that, but top 10. I definitely think he'd be a top 10. Anthony, what's going on, man? Elway was a better quarterback than most, but lost more than he won. I mean, you can make an argument, Frank, and I only got to see him in the last maybe, like when I actually like knew what football was, probably for only about 4 or 5 years where I got to appreciate him. But you can make an argument that Dan Marino is the most talented quarterback in the history of the NFL. And the guy's never won a Super Bowl because they couldn't build a team around him. At the end of the day, football's still a team sport. But what Dan Marino was doing when he first came into the league in 1984, he's putting up Pat Mahomes stats in 1984. The guy was ridiculous, right? He brought the Dolphins to the Super. I mean, they just never gave him anything. They never supported him. I'm going top 3. Let's see. Jones is definitely going to shut people up this year. David Lopez says DBs were allowed to mug wide receivers at the line in Peyton's era. That's also true. Yes, the rules have changed for the quarterbacks, which is lended itself to more offense. It's also lended itself to higher completion percentage, more points. Chris, I just noticed Waller did more in one preseason drive than Kenny Golladay did in his whole Giants career. You're not lying, yo, Elvis. I don't want DJ running so much. Matter of time till big injury. I agree. I still want him to run. I don't think you could take that out of his game because I think it's a strength of his. And I think it's going to help his passing. It's going to help create more big plays in this offense if the opposing defenses have to at least honor his ability to take off with his legs. And the most efficient play in the NFL is a QB run. It just is. When plays break down, the quarterback takes off, you get a quick, cheap 15 yards when you have a quarterback like Daniel Jones. So I don't think that you could take it out of his game, but I don't want him to have to run for 750 yards. That's not ideal for me. I don't want to have a quarterback like a Lamar Jackson or a Kyler Murray, or I would prefer my guy like a Russell Wilson, for example, when he was great, or a quarterback, or Pat Mahomes, perfect example, a quarterback who's capable of running when he needs to, but he doesn't have to. He could beat you from the pocket. That to me is ideal. I don't want to have a guy that's going to run for 1,000 yards. I don't want Justin Fields because, like you said, that has injury written all over it. And in the playoffs, when you go up against great defenses and they force you to play from the pocket, good luck. So I agree with you. Ideally, I would like to scale back his running. I think last year they ran Daniel Jones as much as they did because they had to. He was their best weapon outside of Saquon, right? Both their legs, that was their best weapon. They had nobody to throw to. But I think as this offense evolves, you'll see him play more from the pocket. He's still going to run, and I don't want to take that away from him, but I don't want him to run as frequently. Let's see. The Ace Avenue says, how was the O-line? It was great. The first team O-line, which is all that really matters. The first team O-line played really well. Now, granted, they only played for one drive together, as a complete unit, but they played really well. And Evan Neal had, he played longer because obviously he didn't play in the first preseason game. He's been out in practices, but Evan Neal played well. So he was definitely, in my opinion, probably the biggest plus tonight, for me at least, like in terms of what I think is important for the 2023 season. Evan Neal, I thought, played well. He gave up a sack. I get it, but I thought he played well. Any updates on Jackson Mahomes and his – no, I don't know. Patrick – and what? Oh, thank you. So I appreciate it, man. Stand up. New member. I appreciate it, man. Let's see. We need DJ to run. That's just another thing to do. Yeah, I agree with that. But I don't want to have to use him as much as we did last year in terms of the running. Ideally. Like, if you watch my channel, I love Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen before he became good. I thought he was going to blow up to what he became before he got Stephon Diggs because I just saw his raw physical attributes. But I don't think Josh Allen, the way that he plays, is sustainable. I don't think Josh Allen is going to last. I think he's going to break down much quicker than the average quarterback does. He plays – when I watch Josh Allen, he's Cam Newton. He's Cam Newton with probably a bigger arm, but that's who he is. He's prime Cam Newton. And Cam Newton broke down he fell off a cliff overnight. He hit like 30, whatever he was, 31, he fell off. I don't think that's sustainable, taking hits to your body year after year after year after year like that. So for me, I want Jones to still run, but I want to scale it back a bit. Let's see. But you got to do what you got to do to win. How often do you think Hyatt will separate like he did in tonight's touchdown route? I mean, he's fast. So there's going to be times this year where just based off of his speed alone, there's going to be opportunities for big plays with Jalen Hyatt. Is his route running incredible? No. I mean, that was kind of the book on him when we drafted him. But that's something that will only get better over time. And I mean, he ran a pretty good route tonight. That was a nice little double move, a quick juke to the inside, and then he broke out, for that touchdown. But yeah, just his speed alone, he's going to create opportunities. There's not a lot of players in the NFL that could run like him. Tyreek Hill's one of them. Prime Cam Newton was incredible. Prime Cam Newton's one of my favorite players. I loved Cam Newton. But he broke down quick, man, because of his style of play. Big Blue, have a good night, man. Thanks for popping in, buddy. Jordan Riley looked good tonight, Kevin. You look great. Not good. Great. I think DJ's gotten better at that, actually, Bill. He's still not natural. He's not, when you watch like Russell Wilson, who has like a baseball background, he's great at that. Like he just looks natural. Like he's sliding into second base. He knows when to get down. He can anticipate the hit. I think he's gotten better at that, but I don't think he's ever going to be a great slider. I don't know. It's not him, but he has gotten better. I will say that. I think he's gotten better. Let's see. Tana, who's the one player who must have a big day against the Cowboys for us to win that isn't Jones? I mean, Evan Neal, to me. I know he's not going to get you stats, but Evan Neal has to hold his own. Evan Neal, and I will just say the pass rush in general. The pass rush has to have a really good game against the Cowboys because I cannot bank on our corners, rookies who have never played, if Trey Hawkins is going to be started and Deonte Banks is going to be starting. I hope they play well, but I can't bank on those guys going up against, really good wide receivers to have a great game if we can't get home with the pass rush. So for me, I guess Kayvon, Aziz, like the pass rush in general has to have a really good game against Dallas. And yeah, I think Evan Neal has to hold his own. I think if that happens, I think we're going to win. But that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Main positions to address next draft as of right now. I mean, that's as of right now, which means very little, right? Because we got to see how this team develops. Like if you would have asked me that question before the year started last year, I would have at least said quarterback's a possibility, right? They didn't pick up his fifth-year option. So things change over the course of a year. But right now, if you ask me, call me crazy, man. Call me crazy. I still think corner is a big position of need on this team. I think we need to continue to draft corners because I don't think Adorie's coming back after this year. Maybe I'll be wrong. And he's older. I still think we need to get another young corner. I think we need to continue to draft corners. Obviously, we need a premium wide receiver. 100%. You need another interior offensive lineman. You need another guard. You do. A guard, wide receiver, I think another corner. Got to see what we do with McKinney. I don't know if he's going to be back or not, right? So that's tough for me to say. But I would say those three still. I think you could never have enough talent at the corner position, especially in today's NFL. And yeah, wide receiver and some interior offensive line help. Right now, if you ask me, what is it? I would say those three positions. Let's see. O-line, and yeah, O-line. Yeah, I agree with that. We need to hit. Yeah, definitely another pass rusher, Davey, for sure. You can never have enough pass rushers. I'm still nervous about the O-line and D-line against the Cowgirls. We are still outmatched in the trenches. You should be nervous. It's a big question mark going into the game. Let's see. How long has it been since the team has a legit tight end room? Well, Martellus Bennett was only here for a year. He was good. Kevin Boss was solid, but he was not like an elite tight end. Same thing with Jake Ballard. Ingram, I don't care what people say about Ingram. He wasn't very good. Not as a Giant. I know like people say he's playing well with the Jaguars. Now he was not very good with the Giants. Yeah, I mean, the last time we had Shockey, I guess, in terms of like a really good tight end room, Shockey. That was the last time, for those 3 or 4 years or whatever it was. Well, Bavaro, of course. All right, Toba, be good, man. Yeah, I'm probably going to hang out for another 15, 20 minutes, but I just wanted to go live tonight after the game. Yeah, I think I'm going to go live to the Jets game. Don't let this distract you the fact that Nick Foles played better in the Super Bowl than Peyton Manning ever did. I mean, that's not a full statement. But to be fair, I mean, if we're being real, you could say that about a lot of great quarterbacks. Nick Foles had one of the greatest statistical Super Bowls ever, right? I mean, he threw for over 400 yards or whatever it was. But yeah, you're right. Anthony says, I think linebacker core is the most. We definitely need more help at the linebacker spot, too. Bobby Okereke is really, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how McFadden develops this year and Beavers and everybody else. But yeah, we could definitely use another line. We still have a lot of needs on this team. But if I had to list right now, I would say line, interior line, wide receiver, and corner. Those would be my three areas next year. Today. Now, if Trey Hawkins develops into this great corner this year and Deonte Banks becomes this great corner, I'm going to feel differently. But right now, that's how I feel. Bone in or bone out? You got to go with the bone in. Steak tastes better. Thoughts on Bellinger? I think Bellinger's going to have a great year. I think Bellinger's, I mean, he might only catch for 350 yards, but I think he's a really good blocker. I think he's a nice target down by the red zone like you saw tonight. And when the opposing defense is going to be focused in on Waller and Hodgins inside the 5-10 yard line, he's going to have his opportunity like you saw tonight. So he's a sure-handed tight end. I think he only had one drop in college. Yeah, I love him. I love Bellinger. I like that his role has been a little bit reduced because, you know, he's young still. He's going to only continue to get better. But adding a guy like Darren Waller, I think, is only going to make him more efficient in terms of creating more open targets. And it's great. So, yeah, I love Bellinger. I think he's a nice target down by the red zone, and he's a good blocker. Would you rather trade for an established elite receiver or try to draft one next year? I mean, it depends. It depends on who becomes available. And it depends on both in where we're picking and what established wide receivers available. A name a lot of people have brought up is Brandon Ayuk. If he became available next year and we were picking late in the first round, that's a guy I'd be interested in. If you said, Chris, if Ayuk stays healthy this year and he has a really good year, would you be willing to give up the 25th pick for a Brandon Ayuk? I'd entertain it. He's young. I think he would fit this scheme really well. And I look at him as a guy that I think, given an opportunity like Stephon Diggs got, when he got to a spot where he was a more featured target, he could become an upper echelon wide receiver in the NFL with upside, young. So that's a guy. Like if I'm throwing out a name, okay, yeah, that could make sense. But it all depends. It all depends on who's available, both in the draft and via trade. So we'll see. But it's got to be a young guy. It's got to be a young guy for me to want to be giving up a first round pick. Over under Waller and Bellinger 800, 400 yards, 1,200 yards total. I'm going to go slightly under, but it's only because I have to go into the year assuming, just based off of his track record, that Waller's probably going to miss a few games. Like, he's probably going to miss 3 or 4 games. If Waller plays 17 games, he's going over 1,000 yards. But I'll go slightly under, just based off of I'm baking into the year for my projection for Darren Waller. He's missing 4 games. That's what history tells me. He's missing 4 games, so I go a little bit under those projections. But if he stays healthy, over. Let's see. Do you think Tibbs is a little too late? No, I do not. I don't get this. I've seen people bring this up. The 2 things I don't get when people say about Kayvon Thibodeau, I've seen people on Twitter say it. I've seen people in live stream say it. They've said I've seen people say that he's lazy. And I've seen people say that he's not big, like he's too small. The dude's 255. Micah Parsons is 235. And go back and watch the play last year against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He chased Travis Etienne down the field, 70 yards down the field. No, to me, Kayvon Thibodeau's been all effort, man. Not at all, man. Bill, thank you very much, man. I know pretty much nothing on Timon Fox. Ideas. I liked Timon Fox last year. When I got to see him in preseason last year, I liked him. He was actually a really productive player. I think he went to Michigan State I forgot where he went. I think he went to Michigan State, Timon Fox, unless I'm confusing him with another player. And I think he had like double-digit sacks while he was at Michigan State. And a lot of people were surprised that he went undrafted. And the Giants snatched him as an undrafted free agent last year. And yeah, I liked him last year when we got to watch him. And I think he looks even better this year. So I think he's going to be a part of the rotation for sure. Oh, he went to North Carolina. Oh, that's right. He went to the same school as Lawrence Taylor. I remember people talking about that. But he was a very productive collegiate player. He had like double-digit sacks. I remember that. But yeah, I liked him on Fox. I think he's going to make this team. Katreek, what's going on, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. I'm confusing with somebody else. Maybe somebody else on our team went to Michigan that we picked up last year with Michigan State. But I remember when I looked into him, like, wow, this guy was really productive. And he was projected to be drafted last year, and the Giants were able to snatch him up. The only red flag I see on Kayvon is his power. His speed and effort are great, but he seems to get manhandled once they get. Yeah, but I feel like that's not uncommon for a young player, Ryan. I feel like that's a lot of young players. I think like Osi Umenyiora was a very raw prospect when the Giants drafted him. I think even Pierre Paul was very raw his first year. So it takes time for these guys to grow and get better, and he will. I mean, I think the work ethic's there. I think the talent's there. I think the coaching's there. So I see no reason to think that he's not going to become a great player for the Giants. Let's see. Cut Parrott. We'll see. He's got a shot as a swing tackle. We'll see. I'm not a big fan of him. Denise says he's only going to get better. He got double teamed. Yeah, and he got held a lot. But it is 11:52. I just wanted to go live, celebrate with you guys after the game, get a taste for the live streams, the post-game live streams. Rather than do like a video, there's not a whole lot to talk about in terms of breaking down a game when it's a preseason game, because you're only looking at, I don't know, a quarter and a half of like real football with the first team in a game like tonight. So I felt like we go live, get a little hype, talk about the game, talk about some of the things we liked. Still preseason. I'm going to continue to hammer that home. Like, let's not go over the top. Let's see what we do week 1 against Dallas, but I'm excited. I always try to remain as even keel as I can in the during training camp and in preseason. I don't want to get too high. I don't want to get too low. But what I will say about tonight's performance, and I'm going to get to you in a second, Mike. What I will say about tonight's performance from the first team offense, it's the best I don't necessarily want to say ever, because I can't recall all the Eli years, with the first team offense in the preseason. But since I've been on YouTube, it's the best I've seen a first team offense for the New York Giants look in a preseason game. And I know it was only one drive, but they looked great. And hopefully, that obviously that grows and only gets better come regular season. Still got to realize watered down playbooks. You're going up against a defense that's probably not going to show you everything. Offense that's not going to show you everything. But Daniel Jones looked decisive. They came up with a great game plan. Waller was getting open at will. And that was without Saquon Barkley on the field. And the offensive line looked really good. So I'm very encouraged off tonight, especially with this, this offensive performance tonight. That's what I'll say. That's over 6 years. I've been on YouTube for 6 years. That was the best I've seen a first-team offense look in a preseason game since I've been on YouTube. So I'm happy, man. But Mike says, Tana, great game tonight. Offense looked great, and DJ finally got his weapons. Thank you for all the content. Have a great night. You too, Mike, man. Thank you very much. DJ looked great. Offensive line looked great. Waller looked great. Hyatt looked great. Defense, Kayvon looked great. Dex looked great. I'm excited. Can't wait to talk Giants football with you guys all offseason. And, it's going to be a fun year. And I think we're building something. I think this team's going to be good for a long time. But, guys, be good. I'll talk to you guys soon. I'll be live for the Jet game on my channel. I'll probably have a video. I'm going to do a roster prediction video, a 53-man roster prediction video, but I'm going to wait until – because it's stupid to do it now because you got another game. So I'll watch the last game, and we'll do a 53-man roster prediction video. Anything big breaks, we'll have a video on that. But obviously, come regular season, there'll be tons of content, video content, live streams. I'm looking forward to it. I had a lot of fun tonight. You guys have a great rest of your night. Let's go Giants. Be good, everybody. Have a good night.